Back to that Verado with 16,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You said somebody told you about that at school?
Mm-hmm.
What school? Not MMI, right?
No. It was
like
at
Mercury. Or
it was
okay.
at Mercury School.
Yeah. I was like, dude, you went there a while ago.
Yeah. No. This was. I can't remember what year I was there, but it was another mechanic there in the class, and yeah, he was just kind of talking about what he did, and same thing, talking about things that they've seen, longevity, different boats they work on, and what they take care of, and obviously when you see boats like that, that's a bragging. Yeah. Like everybody wants to tell that story, like Yeah. We've got this one boat, like.
That's pretty crazy. I'd like to know the track record on that engine, because it's definitely probably been through a power head, at least one.
Yeah, and a lower unit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but then it gets to the point, like if there's some kind of government agency, why replace the power head instead of throwing new L6s on there?
Most government agencies on a budget, man. Like remember, the government doesn't have any money. They have your money. Like they have our money, and they're distributing our money out the way they see fit. Yeah. But through the taxes. So, they all on a budget. So, and I can't remember if he worked for like a contracting company that had the contract with that. Whatever it was, I can't remember exactly what branch it was that they worked on. Mm-hmm. But like they had the contract, and that's what they did. They did the service and took care of the boat. So a lot of those, I mean, I know guys down there that do like the FWC stuff. I mean, he schedules all his own stuff. So like he's got his own work area, his own barn, and he tells them when what boat goes down. Mm-hmm. So like this boat goes down on this day for me to do service, and then they schedule it all out. So they're pretty on top of the maintenance.
Okay. So maybe there's some decent hours on that thing. Like not too abusive, not too neglected. I mean, to make 16,000 hours, there's gotta be a lot of love involved.
Oh yeah. I remember
hearing love for that motor.
I remember hearing stories too when they were, in the earlier years of the Verado, when they were doing testing and stuff, they spun one up to like 12,000 RPM.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Really?
He said it made some funny noises.
Well, I bet it probably sounded pretty angry, dude. 12,000 RPM.
Yeah. That's kind of. Yeah. That was just one of the Mercury
F1
people.
car things. No, they rate even higher. Am I kidding? Like 20,000. That's stupid. I'd want to hear that in person.
No, that's insane. I mean,
I want to hear that in person. Just because it's like, I don't know. It's got to be because you hear a NASCAR. You ever been to a NASCAR race?
I have not.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's super cool. Yeah, like I don't know. You think it's just left turns, but yeah, it is just left. but when you really start paying attention, it's good. Yeah. There's kind of a lot of skill involved. But really, what I love is the first lap. I recommend wearing earplugs. But if you're, the first lap, they they have a rolling start through the finish line. And that's when they're just starting to rev up. I'll always take the earplugs out for that one.
Yeah.
And just listen to that V8, 40 of them or however many are out there. And
wow.
It's just, there's nothing like listening to that kind of crazy performance in person. It's like just rumbling in the stands in your chest. You're like, oh my God, it's so giddy. It's great. But an F1 engine revving 20,000, that'd be sick.
Oh yeah.
Now the L6 revving 12. I'd be scared of that thing blowing the heck up.
Me too.
Like, that better be in another room when that's happening.
Well, yeah, it was the Mercury team, probably in the R&D, and just whatever they do, But yeah,
you said at school. Speaking of school, our boy Jacob, he asks about education versus experience and sort of the relationship with salary.
Out the gate experience.
Right. Okay.
100%.
You jump. Yeah, for sure. But it also depends. No. Yeah, experience. 100%.
100%.
I mean, I went to school, and so did you. We went to the same school, 10 years apart.
Yeah.
And the school was good. Like, it teaches you enough to get your foot in the door, but they only have a year. Yeah. So you can only learn so much in a year that's like being laid out for you. But there's nothing like being out there and actually working on the stuff that's broken and seeing like real world things. And I'll take 1 month experience over a year of school.
Yep.
Any day. Yeah. Like I learned more in my first month at the marina than I did at school.
Really?
But then again, I also, there was a lot of two conchs things always coming through, and that really, depending on how much you're exposed to.
Yeah.
Then it's, it's pretty, it gets affected that way. But he was also asking the relationship to salary between the two. So, because then it gets into the point where education, like you could have who's going to make more money? A 25-year experienced mechanic or a 10-year that's fully certified in Yamaha and Mercury?
The experienced guy.
The one with 25 years will make more than the guy who's like fully certified, like a master tech.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. They both still have a lot of experience. 10 years to 25 years.
It's going to be a twofold. It's going to be a twofold answer because one, it depends on where you're working. So like if you're doing the corporate deal where, there's a lot of political structure and it's a corporate structure where you get paid on, specific certifications, because there's a lot of shops that will pay a little higher for certain certifications. Not many, mostly just like master techs and stuff like that. If you got a master tech certification, you're going to get more. You might get a little bump in pay just for having that cert. Right. But other than that,
I think that a master tech helps the dealer too, right? Like
he does.
Having a master tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps the dealer, which goes back.
I feel he should make more money.
Well, it depends because it's based on skill. So the amount of money that you make is going to be based on your skill set and what you can do. Because when you take yourself out of being the mechanic and you look at the true situation, obviously every shop's going to be different, depending on who runs, owns, and manages the shop that you're going to work at. That's going to play a big part on how much you get paid, regardless of your certs or your experience. But in the end, if you work for a good shop with a good owner, then it goes back to billing. I mean, you talk about attorneys and lawyers, they are big on their billable hours. Well, it's the same thing in the mechanical industry where your billable hours is directly reflective on your pay. So this guy that's got, fully certified in all the brands and this, that, and he holds all the accolades, all that, versus the guy that doesn't have any of that. But when you put them side by side, the guy with the experience can fix, 20 boats in a week where this guy can only fix 10. So the dealership is going to be able to fix and bill 20 more, 10 more people than this guy. So this guy is going to make the dealer more money than the other guy. And the dealer is going to look at that as on a business side as, okay, you fixed this boat, it left, it doesn't come back. Like that's the biggest thing. It doesn't come back. As long as the boat's not coming back and it's fixed, like truly fixed, then they can bill the person pays the bill, you're bringing more income into the business. So the more things that you can work on and the better you can fix stuff, like fixing it right, not just cutting corners, because there are people that work in different shops that have, some sort of a flat rate commission, and they'll try and beat the clock by cutting corners, doing this, doing that, saying I changed the filter and you didn't really change it, like, doing some shady stuff like that. But other than that, if you can bill out 60 hours of work in a week and this guy can only bill out 40, you're making the marina more money. And the more money you make them, then the more leverage that you have to be like, hey, I looked at my billables and, based on my labor, you were able to bill $200,000 this month based on my work.
Right.
Whereas this guy that did less work, he's going to be like, he only billed $100,000 worth of labor for the month. So you billing more time can be like, I made you, obviously you're not, he does, the shop doesn't get to keep the 200 grand or whatever it is that you made him, because the insurance, taxes, workman's comp, Medicare, all the operating costs, he's not pocketing that money. But you can be like, you know, I'm billing out X amount of hours, so I think I'm worth this. Mm-hmm. And any smart shop owner is going to go, oh, this guy's, you know, billing $200,000 and my other guys are only billing 100. Well, why wouldn't I want to pay him more to keep him here, to keep him, you know, billing out? So it's going to be experience for me over the certs. Yeah. But certs are definitely good because you need to know about the products and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you know, we go to school, so you definitely want to stay on top of the new products and how they work, how they operate, because that's how you kind of get ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. Is knowing how to utilize school to gain your experience to be better, not just going to school for your certs.
No, that's true. And also, I found that like a lot of the schooling after I've become a mechanic and I'm in the industry, a lot of the schooling is more in depth. I don't want to call it easy, but it is kind of, you know, on the easier side still. I don't think it's designed to make anybody fail, but it definitely gives you a good, like, you know, the one class I've taken so far was Yamaha drivetrains. Mm-hmm. And up until that point, I'd never taken apart a lower unit. So, you know, although it's a lot different in the real world where all the corrosion and everything has affected this lower unit, you know, that thing in school came apart like butter, like it was designed to come apart. But it, you know, it made me less intimidated to then take apart a lower unit because I had seen all the internals with my eyes and I know what's in there. I know where it goes, how it's supposed to look and all that. And I don't know, just, it can be used as a good tool for upping your experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as far as in relation to salary, definitely experience is more valuable because, you know, like you said, it'll speak for itself when you're billing out. Yeah, more than the guy with less experience. Yep. I've always hated sort of the perception with certs though, like, because there's some people that think that if you're not certified, you're not worth anything. It's like, I don't know. I know people that are certified that aren't worth anything. I know people with all the certifications in the world, and they don't actually know how to work on that motor.
No, they know how to fix a.
They know how to answer a multiple choice question on a test, and you know, work in a lab. But put them on something in the real world, and they ain't gonna get it. No, or at least not as quickly. Right, as the guy with the experience.
I think something the biggest benefits are like if you've got no experience, that's kind of like the hiccup, because most shops don't want to hire somebody with zero experience.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Just because it's a gamble, exactly. Mm-hmm. So they're going to hire somebody that's a liability. They get on somebody's boat and drop an impact into, you know, the live well and break a screen, or they send a screw or something through a $12,000 Garmin, and like, you know, there's some liability there. You get on somebody's boat and you cut their upholstery up, or, you know.
Yeah, it sucks to be a young tech because you know enough to be dangerous. Yeah. You know enough to get you in trouble, you know, and sometimes if you start being overconfident and, you know, start thinking you know all this stuff and just go in there and attack it, and then you break something. Yep. And, you know, sometimes you got to have good judgment.
100%.
And be able to tone it back a little bit. Not necessarily not be confident in yourself, but be reasonably confident in yourself.
Well, also kind of respectful too. I mean, because if you get on the boat like it was your boat, I mean, you know, because some of the boats you get on, I think there's almost a disconnect because these boats have gotten so insane where you're on a $1 million boat. So you don't have that
connection with the boat.
Whereas if you got on the boat and you're, you know, say you're on a $200,000 boat, if you felt personally like you just spent $200,000 on this boat, like you're not up there like just throwing stuff around and like scraping stuff across the gel coat and like, you know, dropping impacts and like doing like you're putting rags down, you're putting blankets out, you're taking care of the person's boat, because the person that bought it, obviously he spent the money to buy the thing, and that goes back to the liability and the overconfidence. Like, if you don't know, I've seen texts that are like that, where it's like they don't think about that. It's like, this person just spent $1 million on this boat. Like, the money might not be that big of a deal to him, because obviously if you're spending $1 million on a boat, you're
pretty well off.
You're working correctly. Like, your money's making money, and you're doing well. But that doesn't mean that you didn't still spend the money to buy the thing, and that you want somebody on there. So a lot of those people with the higher end boats, they'd actually rather pay more money and not have their boat destroyed than get the cheaper person that comes on the boat and then cuts a hole in their $2,000 upholstery.
Yeah. Now, if you like this video, you can watch the full episode over here, or you can watch another clip over here.